Hey everyone, welcome to Massachusetts Sports Central. This is our NFL division previews, and right now we are looking at the NFC South. Okay, so as we have been doing, we are going to do worst to first. So starting off, we are looking at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have gone 7-9, I believe 3 years in a row coming into this season, and I actually have them doing that once again this year. They're going to they have a really tough start looking at their schedule at Minnesota, New England at home, at Carolina, and at Miami before they hit their bye week. I have them going 0-4. They certainly could win a game here or there, but that's all tough, especially with 3 of those games being on the road. You know, if some of them were at home, maybe they would have a better shot. So then after their bye week, they pick it up quite a bit, winning at Detroit, losing to Green Bay, having an easy game with Chicago. Anyway, so as you see, the midseason, I have them basically getting all of their wins before coming and having a tough stretch at the end. With Drew Brees, the offense is always going to be pretty good. I do have some doubts on how well AP is going to be for them. You know, Peterson is getting a bit older and, didn't play much last year and didn't play well when he did. If he plays really well, then that could definitely turn some stuff around. I actually think their defense is going to be a little bit better this year, but that's not saying much given that they basically have been a bottom 2 or 3 defense every season. So, maybe low to mid 20s. If they do that, if they can do better than, say 25th best scoring defense, they actually have a decent chance of maybe finishing over 500. And if they can actually play well, then, they could really surprise some people. But right now, I just don't see that happening. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers, number 3. So this is going to be a pretty good division, pretty tight overall. So I have Carolina coming in 3rd, even though they are, I have them slotted in at 8-8. So a lot of the talk is around what's going to happen with Cam Newton. So if you look at his numbers, yes, last year was definitely an off year, pretty bad for him. But overall, it's actually much closer than what he had done his entire career prior to 2015. So if he comes back and proves that I'm wrong, fine. But at this point, I'm more of the opinion that 2015 was his career year, and 2016 was just a slightly down year from what he had shown us all of his previous seasons. So again, unlike New Orleans, they're actually going to start off, in my opinion, probably pretty well because they have a couple of home games and against a couple of weaker teams. So they'll get off to a decent start before, if you notice, I have them winning their first 3, losing their next 3, and then basically alternating win-loss the whole rest of the season. They have a reasonably tough schedule. I don't feel that any of the losses I have are like crazy. Maybe they beat Philly at home. They could beat Detroit on the road, but that's neither of those are upsets. Frankly, if they win those games, they would be upsets, just not maybe big upsets. And the fact that I have them beating Atlanta, only the home game, but I do have them beating Atlanta. I do have them beating Minnesota, who I think is going to be pretty good. I do have them beating Tampa in their home game. So I could actually see them finishing behind New Orleans and being quite a bit worse too. But right now, this feels about right to me. So moving on, next we have number 2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Have them basically the same record as last year, 9-7, though I think they're going to be a better team. I just think that they have a little bit of a harder schedule. Now, literally 2 minutes before I started recording the audio here, the news came out, at least I heard the news came out, that the Week 1 game is not going to be happening. Originally it was going to be in Miami, and with the Hurricane Irma coming, Irma, I think it's Irma, they decided to cancel the game, and they're actually moving it. Both Miami and Tampa have a bye week in Week 11, so that game is no longer going to be Week 1. It would be in between the home game against the Jets and the away game against the Falcons. I did quickly see if I was going to change my prediction, and I'm not. I had them losing that game in Miami. I'm still going to have them losing that game in Miami. And I don't think it's going to affect anything else since I already had them losing their next 2 games at Atlanta and at Green Bay anyway. So that's just went from like a tough stretch and 2 tough games to being a brutal stretch with 3 tough games, all of which I have them losing. So we'll see if not having a bye at all affects them in some of those later games when I had them winning against Detroit and Atlanta and finishing with a win against New Orleans. So, maybe it will affect them a little bit like farther down the road, just the not having any rest. But right now, I'm going to keep them at the same record at 9-7 and finishing second. And finally, number 1, the defending champs, I have winning again, the Atlanta Falcons. So I have them at 12-4. So obviously, I'm not picking them to have a big Super Bowl hangover. And, they don't have a particularly easy schedule either. So I just think they're a good team. I think the offense might not be as good as it was last year, but it doesn't have to be as good as it was last year and still put up over 30 points a game. I do think that the young defense is going to be better. I don't know how much better, but I do think that they are an improving team and they have some very good players. I don't think they're going to be a top 5 to 10 defense, but I do think that they have a decent chance of being top half of the league, where last year they were in the low to mid 20s in most categories. So if they can make it a little bit harder for the other teams to score while still putting up 30 plus points, they're going to win a lot of games. So again, if you kind of look at the schedule, the games I have them losing, really pretty much any of them they could potentially win. Like, I think the most obvious one, in my opinion, is I have them losing on the road to Carolina. Division game, it's hard to win all of your division games. Have them splitting with a couple of teams. So I do have them splitting with Carolina. They could easily win that game. I think they're a lot better than Carolina. At Detroit, kind of a similar thing. I think Detroit's a pretty good team. If you have seen our NFC South NFC North predictions, I have them as a decent team, but I think Atlanta's better. I think Atlanta's definitively better. It's on the road though, so it's it didn't seem like crazy, but they could certainly win that game. At New England, this is one of the teams that could definitely go into Foxborough and beat them just because they're very good. I wouldn't flip that one. Unless I have a good reason to. Like, I feel confident in that one. But they are good enough that anything can happen. And finally, I have them losing at Tampa. I think by then they because I only have Tampa winning 9. So I think by the time that game comes around, that Atlanta probably has the division sewn up, while Tampa's still probably going to be fighting for a potential playoff spot. So I think there's going to be a little bit of more motivation there. So that's kind of where I gave that to Tampa. But again, they certainly could pull that one off. All right, so that wraps up the NFC South. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and share the videos, and subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on other social media. Facebook and Twitter are both at MA Sports Central. Thanks, and we will see you soon.